was my dad that fucked everything up. Alright, but I'm not like my dad. I'm smarter than him. I'm better than him, Effie.
Keep thinking you're fucking smarter than me. Don't ever make that mistake again, son.
All right, y'all looking at the title, y'all looking at the thumbnail. Yes, get on in here. Now, before I get started on today's video, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, get on in here. Now, the one thing I like about the power community is just like everybody got like their own ideas, their own opinions, what they see Tariq doing, whether or not he may surpass Ghost or not. Now, the thing is, it's like, hopefully, like when we get into the rest of Power, like the rest of the seasons of Power, we don't get like the short end of the stick, because so far, you know, Tariq is still, like I said before, a ghost in training, and we quite not haven't seen him reach those levels of what we've seen from Ghost. And let's just say, which would be crazy, we get like the final finale of Power Book 2 Ghost. Like I wouldn't say like somewhere in the future. I just say like somewhere in the future we get that, and it's like, oh, did he finally do it? And hopefully the writers don't try to fuck us and believe and have us think like, oh yeah, he really did do this. And it's like, just because he went to Italy don't mean shit. We still need more from this man. So I came up with like basically this, what was it? Hold on, where is it? The 7 steps. The 7 steps for Tariq to surpass or even to catch up to Ghost's level. Basically the 7 steps of Tariq. That's what it really is. And if there was anything else that I missed, make sure you comment down below if there was any other steps that I've actually missed. So step number 1, learning how to fight. Come on now. Now, everybody remembers when Nuff basically gave Tariq the ass beating in season 2. He jacked his little ass up and just gave him a black eye. Because think about it like this. How the fuck can this man basically know how to use a gun, but he can't throw fists? Because remember when Ghost was in jail and that guy, that prisoner, he came up, he was just, oh yeah, you look kind of thirsty, juicy and shit. That's when St Patrick fucking broke his arm. I'm like, that was great. That shit was great. And you look at Tariq, and he can't fight, but he can throw a gun. And I'm like, that don't make any sense. And it kind of like emulates from today's generation, I should say, because you have some peoples out there who know how to fight, and then you have some peoples who out there who know how to use a gun. But seeing how this generation is slightly fucked up and is gonna constantly continue to get worse, most people ain't gonna know how to throw down like that. They either gonna pick up a gun, or they're gonna use a knife, or they're gonna start doing some wild shit and pulling out their dicks to fight. I am completely serious on this. That's where this generation is going. So you look at Tariq and you like, wait a minute, how is he able to use a gun but he can't fight? No. And even though when we see it in the trailer that I guess him and Braden looks like they're gonna be throwing fists, doesn't count because you're fighting your friend. Doesn't count. We saying like a complete stranger, and the way he got caught, it was like, come on, man. No. That's the one step. The one step he should actually learn is how to fight. Using a gun, that's sure. But using your fist first, I think he definitely should learn how to use his fist, because I can see if in part 2, or in season 2, that if him and Mecha would have fought, okay, it's fair, because Mecha's military, he's well trained, okay, and Mecha would have beat his ass, okay, sure. But keep in mind, when Jason and Ghost was fighting in the elevator, Jason did kind of had the upper hand, but Ghost was keeping his own, and that's what made the fight interesting, because he was able to keep his own with him, even though Jason was kind of giving Ghost the hands, but he was able to keep up with him. So I think if they wasn't in that elevator, Jason probably would have had the victory on Ghost, because he kind of had the hands on him. So you look at things and you're like, hey, you know, that's where Tariq, his fighting skills should be either on par or even surpassing. So that's like the one step he should definitely learn. Step 2 is you can't trust nobody. So we've already seen in this season that Tariq is fucking up. He's fucking up, because the one rule that Kanan taught both Tommy and Ghost is that you can't really trust anybody. And even though, yes, Ghost and Tommy, they had that brothership, that brotherly kinship, they was boys. They had, you know, they had their ups and downs, and yeah, sure. But That's the one rule. Like, you can't really trust anybody. You just can't, because even though, sure, Brayden and Effie, they did betray Tariq, but you gotta keep in mind here, it's that Tariq did betray Kanan, and he did get him killed. And that was like one of the lessons that we kind of look at in this show, and we like, hold on, how did he forget this? How did he forget that he was the one that got Kanan killed and he betrayed them, even though he was his friend? But that was the one rule that should have stuck to him. It was that even your closest friends would even betray you. He sees both Brayden and Effie as, family, but that's the thing. Can't trust anybody. Ghost learned that the hard way. It was like he couldn't trust anybody. He betrayed Kanan, had him go to jail. And Ghost, even though he taught Ghost, but him and Breeze was like his mentors, but he killed one and then he sent one to jail. So that should tell you something, that he should technically be learning these things, but that's the second step and the rule for him to even surpass or even to catch up to Ghost's level, is to not trust nobody. After when you've been burnt, you should not trust anybody. And that's the one rules that you should learn, especially when you're in the streets, because you don't know who you're dealing with. There's no loyalties towards the streets, no matter who you are. So that's like one of the steps that Tariq should definitely learn. And then you got step 3, being able to manipulate the room and control those who are in it. Now, that's an important step, because when you see back in the original Power, where Ghost was manipulating a lot of people. He was manipulating a lot of people, because when you had Tommy, well, actually no, because Tommy, for instance, he had this man kill his own father, despite Tony Teresi was going to use like the information that he had to snitch on Ghost, but he wasn't going to snitch on Tommy. And he basically manipulated Tommy into killing his own father. Then you can, I wouldn't even consider like Ghost manipulating Sean. It was just like he told Sean the truth. That it wasn't really any manipulation there, so I wouldn't count that. Again, he did manipulate Kanan to a degree, because he manipulated him by having him do things that he didn't want him to do. So that was also a thing there. And then lastly was Rashard Tate.
Why I took your dream. See, some people know how to win. They always win. See, that's me. Maybe you should actually go back to being a cop. You were a great cop, right?
Oh boy, how he basically just used this man. He had Rashard Tate like on the recording. That's when, at the time when they was like both trying to like go. He was trying to become lieutenant governor, and I forgot what Rashard Tate. I think he was trying to become lieutenant governor too. He was trying to become something, but then Ghost sabotaged his whole entire plan. Had that recording of him talking crazy, and he's like, "Hey, look at that!" And then he just completely fucked Tate. But that's the thing. He read the room, and he manipulated those who was in the room, and he even had power to even do so. And it wasn't just his money; it was how he was, and it was how he was able to carry himself that was allow him to put himself in these interesting positions to even get where he was at in life. So that's like the one thing that Tariq has to learn, is how to use other people. Now, sure, you can say he has done that in Power, he's done that in Power Book 2, but the way he's moving now, he ain't moving correctly. He's not moving correctly. That's why it kind of like shuts down his statement of when he said that he is smarter and stronger than Ghost. And it's like, no, he's not. He can't be, because he's not learning these tools. He hasn't learned these tools yet. He can lie, he can do all these things, but he still hasn't quite gotten to the tip of the iceberg of actually being 5 steps ahead of everybody and able to move in a certain way. Now, step 4, always having a backup plan. So, despite Ghost's failed attempt on killing Lobos, Ghost came up with a second plan. Why don't we intercept, we basically capture Lobos, and we kill him? That was like the backup plan. What do you think any sort of plan that Tariq is going to have, knowing that Lauren is still alive? Because here's the question. Would Tariq actually pull the trigger on Lauren, seeing how like she's with the feds, but we don't even know if Tariq is actually going to pull the trigger on Lauren, because the fact is that Effie and Brayden failed to get rid of her. Well, have her like leave town, but Effie took matters into her own hand and tried to kill her so that way she could be with Tariq. But what is going to be the backup plan? There always have to be a backup plan in case the main plan actually fails. And again, Tariq probably will have to come up with something here, like some sort of backup plan, because one, there's actually that recording of Braden and Kane. There's that, and knowing that Lauren is still alive, and we don't think Lauren is just gonna go away peacefully. So there's gonna have to something bad is gonna have to happen to her. Either she dies this time for real, or she goes away for real this time. We don't know what's gonna actually happen, but you always have to have a backup plan just in case the first plan actually fails. So there's a lot of these things that Tariq is failing to even understand and comprehend, of being manipulated and also having a backup plan just in case if the first one fails. Step 5, choosing the right woman. So now the thing is, we've always looked at like the women and like in the original Power, and I've said it in my previous video last week where I said that Tasha only wanted Ghost to be at his level. Well, keep him there at that level and not actually change him. Now, I understand that there's actually a conversation and an argument that if Ghost would have never went with Angela, things would have been fine. You can say that, sure. You can probably say that, yeah. And that's what Tasha fell in love with. She fell in love with Ghost. She never fell in love with James St. Patrick. Angela fell in love with James St. Patrick. That's what makes the things separate from each other. One loved the drug dealer and biggest drug dealer in New York City, while the other person loved him for who he was. So, despite Effie, Lauren, Diana, you always got to look at, and whatever women that Tariq will find in the future, you always got to think about, like, well, okay, I'll go with the main three. Because who loves Tariq for who he is, and who wants to like see him change for like the better? Because despite Effie telling Diana that basically her and Tariq move differently, they always say you never want to find a woman who is like too similar to you. You always want to find a woman that will make you different. You know, she elevates you. She pushes you to new heights and makes you evolve as a person. That's what you want to find in a woman. You never want to find a woman who wants to keep you the same and keep you down, because then you would never change, you would never evolve. And that's the thing where that's the big difference between like Angela and Tasha. It was like the really big difference. Like, you know, Ghost was becoming a different person. Tasha only wanted to keep him the same. So you got to think about the women in Tariq's life, who's trying to keep him the same and who's going to elevate him for him to go further. So that's another step that Tariq would have to choose and learn. He's still a Ghost in training, so he still has to learn these things, and he's young. So there's that. Step 6, remain hidden and never show your hand. Starting from the first season, Tariq showed his hand and was always exposed. And ever since Zeke's death and him getting arrested, all eyes was on Tariq. James St. Patrick, throughout his criminal years as Ghost, how many times have Tariq have been exposed or caught? I'm starting to lose count. I'm really starting to lose count, because that's the thing. Between like Ghost and Tariq, Ghost, he's always been that type of person to disappear, and he has kept his name out of like the public for years. You can see people like Tommy and Kanan, they have like rap sheets, right? They have rap sheets. On the other hand, James St. Patrick never had a rap sheet. Only time eyes was really on him was because of the whole Greg Knox thing. He was falsely accused of killing Greg Knox, which didn't really happen. But that only happened because, you know, Ghost broke up with Angela and found fingerprints and figured that, hey, he actually did this, but he did not do this. And that's what kind of like put eyes on Ghost. But on the other hand, Tariq, Jesus, it was just like nonstop. The whole Jabari, and like I said, Zeke's death, and then him being arrested, all eyes is still on him, and he hasn't been the person to like remain in the shadows and keep less attention and heat off of him. It's like when you see, even during like in this season, when he was outside shooting and they was like, oh, they spotted, like the Russians spotted some guy in black, and they was like, wait a minute, black dude did this, and he didn't even do a good job there. Hell, even when you look back at season 2, Nuff was able to catch him and spot him. So he did a poor job of being a Ghost and not being seen. The part about being Ghost is that they don't see you coming. They don't even know what was the line? I didn't see him leave, but I didn't see him go either. That's how Tariq's supposed to be moving. He's supposed to be moving like that, like a true ghost. But he's been caught. He's been exposed. He's been put in the public eye too much. So that's another step that he's going to have to learn to not be a part of anything and not be too exposed in the public eye. He has to remain hidden and never show his hand. But again, he's been exposed plenty. He's been exposed plenty. And then we have step 7, learning to speak multiple languages and not just Italian. Because we've seen how James St. Patrick only learned to speak like Spanish because he was in love with Angela and she spoke Spanish, and you know that was his girl. So, and you know, Tariq learning Italian isn't bad, but if he wants to be like multilingual and actually speak like more than just one language, that would also put him like above Ghost of speaking multiple languages. Because hey, what if you're in trouble with the Russians? You know, you want to speak Russian. You know, besides Italian, besides Spanish, like you want to speak different types of languages just in case if you in sticky situations, it can get you out of it, because then you would understand, and then you can kind of like build up an argument or some sort of defense to save yourself. But you know, that's like, I would say like the few things that he would have to learn in order for him to like surpass Ghost. Because I see the comments and I see people saying that no, you're wrong. He already surpassed Ghost. And I'm looking at these things. I don't see that. I really don't. I don't see that he surpassed Ghost, and the evidence isn't really there. But I will say, with all of the steps that I've mentioned here, it should put him on the level of being a ghost. Like I said, all the way from step 1 to step 7, these are the steps that I would say that should put him on the level of being a ghost, and then eventually harnessing his craft to even surpassing Ghost. Because frankly, I'm in the middle. Like right now, I still don't believe I still don't believe he surpassed Ghost. But I feel like in the future, if things go correctly, he can catch up to the level of being a ghost. He can catch up to the level and then maybe eventually surpass him. Because I don't want it to be like we get into season 4, 5, maybe 6, 7, right? And he hasn't done much to surpass Ghost, because then it would spit in the face of us. Because if the writers would keep writing and saying this farce, writing this farce shit, like, oh, he did, see, look what he's doing, and we look at this and we see the evidence and we see all of this that's happening, and we see that he hasn't done it. The man is sitting here playing friendship while getting betrayed by his friends. And all of the manipulation that has happened, you would think that Tariq would have noticed it. He could have noticed it from the get-go when Brayden was manipulating him to sell drugs in Wall Street. He could have been like, listen, you're trying to sell me. When even RSJ picked up on it when Tariq was explaining to him, like, oh, about my girlfriend and this and that. He said, stop. You're trying to sell me. Okay, she can come along. Even though when they was having this conversation, like Brayden and Tariq, he should have already picked up on it, like, this is, you're pushing me forward. You're manipulating me to doing this. So, and it worked in Brayden's favor. And then by Brayden going behind Tariq's back and talking to Rashard Tate, that's all these little power moves and all these little details that Tariq hasn't quite seen yet. But I'm hoping that in the future that he harnesses his skills and he sharpens himself up even further, so that way he can surpass Ghost. Because all this is basically catch up. And I feel like by Tariq killing Ghost, he basically, that was like the one person which we will all say was gonna like guide him there quicker and faster. So that means he has to start from Head Start and actually play catch up to learning all of these steps, all of these mistakes, instead of having a person to guide him and just like taking him off of the battlefield and off of these sharp ass landmines that's gonna easily kill him. But now, since he doesn't have a protection pad, he has to walk through the landmines. He has to go through the danger, and he has to learn all of these steps, these 7 steps. There could be more steps, but he has to go through all of these 7 steps to eventually surpassing Ghost and being the man that Ghost wanted him to be. But it's going to be the hard way, because that's what Tariq chose. But I believe that this is going to be the path that Tariq will overcome to eventually becoming Ghost, and then maybe down the line even surpassing Ghost. But let me know in the comment section down below on what do you think of the 7 steps of Tariq's training and him becoming Ghost and and what I call it, the Ghost in training. So Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I catch you all in the next one.